California is called the Golden State. Now, it's a nickname that usually gets attributed to the 49ers who came here in search of gold. But there are those people who insist it actually is named for California's state flower, the golden poppy. California poppies carpet the state each spring from Crescent City, the northern border, to San Diego in the south. In years when conditions are just right, there can be a big, big springtime bloom, what some call a super bloom. Wildflowers bloom from the low desert to the mountains, the coast to the inland valleys. It's a memorable, if short-lived thrill, to see California's sage-colored landscapes transformed to a carpet of gold, purple, yellow, pink, blue, and white blooms. These extraordinary blooms happen only once in a while, so of course we couldn't resist sharing it with you. Come along as we chase the super bloom today on A Growing Passion. Native wildflower blooms make a huge show, and we're not the first generation to notice. Some years, the bloom is so intense it can be seen from outer space. These stunning displays happen when the environmental conditions are just right. It's a combination of generous rains at the right time and in sequence, along with cool temperatures, though sun blooms happen after a big fire. Though the flowers last just a short time, there's a myriad of birds, insects, and other critters whose life cycles depend on these springtime blooms. Our first stop is Harford Springs County Park near Paris, California. Here we see rolling hills of California poppies, cream cups, and other wildflowers. The bloom is amazing. Is this what you would call a super bloom?
This is what I would call a super bloom. It is very abundant with poppies, and some of the plants are really large.
Botanist Naomi Frega is the Director of Conservation Programs at Rancho Santa Ana Botanic Garden. It's the largest botanic garden in the state, dedicated solely to California native plants.
The super bloom is a phenomenon when we have many different plants in bloom all at the same time, and they're not only a high diversity of plants often, but there's a great number of them, and they're also very large and robust. They basically create these blankets or carpets of flowers.
There's always a spring bloom, but this year the bloom is bigger and much longer lasting than usual. Thanks to early and regular rains and a long, cool winter, the soil is really moist, and the air is just the right temperature for flowers to continue blooming and blooming.
The Mediterranean climate influences our spring bloom here in California because you have wet winters and dry summers, and because of that, springtime is really when the show happens.
I'm blown away. I've never seen a mass of cream cups like this.
Yeah, they're really beautiful and abundant.
They sure are. It's amazing, those little pink buds. I didn't expect that either. California poppy's life cycle is in sync with the climate cycle. Seeds sprout in the cool temperatures of fall. The plants grow through winter, and then in March, they explode in golden orange flowers that last until summer's heat sets in. Seed pods form, and then they split. They release their seeds to sleep in the soil until fall comes around again. The seeds are part of the soil seed bank.
Seeds have a mechanism called dormancy, which is basically they're asleep and waiting for the right cues to happen for them to be able to germinate and grow. In any given year, when you have an abundant display of wildflowers, you may be seeing plants that germinated from seeds that were laid down in the soil 100 years ago, 20 years ago, or 5 years ago. We don't really know. That actual individual, that poppy that you see today, its mother could have lived 500 or 1,000 years ago.
It's so interesting to see the variation in color. I mean, even among the California poppies, right? There's yellow, there's gold, there's orange.
Yeah, I think it's all part of that genetic variability. Insects,
Birds, and other pollinators are part of the cycle too. They co-evolved to facilitate the reproduction and genetic diversity of these plants. Throughout this landscape, shrubs and perennials anchor the habitat, but it's the ephemeral flowering annuals that have the greatest diversity. Today's wildflowers make the seeds for tomorrow's, which is one big reason to leave them in place rather than pick the flowers or dig up the plants. With massive development along the coasts and inland valleys, there are few places left that bloom like this. It's breathtaking. It's just so beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Aside from the fact that, it's incredible to look at, Naomi, why do we need to preserve areas like this?
Well, these fields of wildflowers are incredibly special. But if we would have been here in Southern California 200-300 years ago, we would have seen a lot more of these wildflower fields all around Southern California in the valleys and in the hillsides. Now they're relegated to these small patches. It's really important that we protect what's left.
Can you imagine having been here 200 or 300 years ago and seeing this like every year?
I think about that all the time. It must have been amazing.
A field of color blowing in the breeze, then these fragile blooms fade, leaving their seeds behind. Those seeds will wait in the soil for the next time conditions are just right for the next big bloom. The desert is a quiet place with subtle colors, dark brown, tan, soft green. But then in springtime, after an abundance of winter rain, the desert explodes in color, just like this. Well, that's a pretty beautiful scene.
Yeah.
The superbloom is happening in the Anza Borrego Desert. Exceptionally heavy rains started early in fall and repeated in regular cycles through winter. That set the stage for this desert wildflower bonanza. Everywhere you look, it's bright green. Other colors come from shrubs and the short-lived desert annuals, who put on their own show of pink, yellow, white, blue, and purple. Clayton Schutte is a naturalist and a native plant lover. He visits the desert regularly to study its flora.
So what we're looking at here are two suites of flowers, the stuff that likes the dunes, including these beautiful purple lupin, desert dandelions that the painted lady butterflies love. And then as we look up into the Bajada, the scree coming down off the mountains, there's a different suite of plants, including things like the desert poppy.
It's rocky.
Yeah. And that's why you're seeing all this desert poppy. It likes the rockier conditions rather than down in the dunes.
So that's just analogous to California poppies. They like open, sunny spaces.
Yeah, and on the hillside, so that it's almost the same niche, but in the desert instead of on the coast.
These desert flowers are mostly annuals. In this tough environment, if an annual plant is going to bloom, it needs to be certain it can complete its life cycle and produce seed for the next generation. So what do we got?
We've got a bunch of things in this one spot. This is a desert chicory.
Desert annual seeds can lie dormant for years, even decades. There are chemical compounds in the seed coats that prevent seeds from germinating. Enough rainfall washes these compounds away so the seeds can sprout. When the right conditions happen, lots of annuals make their appearance.
Got some Fremont's pincushion in here.
Oh, why is the stem red?
Probably environmental stress. It's starting to get hot or not enough water.
And I see some of the lupins over there.
Arizona lupin, and it's providing some of the last color in this bloom and also a lot of the juicy foliage that the caterpillars really still want.
It's hard to miss the pollinators. Sphinx moths, painted lady butterflies, bees, and these crazy caterpillars that make haste across the desert floor, devouring plants and making thousands of chrysalises that become the next generation of moths and butterflies. This is a really rocky spot.
Yeah, all this scree coming down, this is really part of a Bajada, a larger area of alluvial flow off the mountains.
When rain falls on these steep, rugged mountains, the runoff carries flows of dirt and rock to form a scree. The constant movement prevents most larger shrubs from taking hold. Instead, there's lots of open space and light where flowering annuals can thrive. The life goal of these flowers is to make seeds to perpetuate their genetics and their populations into the future. That's critical for survival of the species. For us, the flowers are just delightful. This is beautiful. This is one of my favorite desert shrubs.
Yeah, this indigo bush is really lovely, isn't it?
You know, we get so excited about the annuals and we forget that there are flowering shrubs in spring as well. I can see the creosote bush, the indigo bush, and isn't that the desert lavender back there?
Yep, this is desert lavender right here. Not a true lavender, but the same family.
Yep.
Yep, smells like lavender. Look at the way this bright yellow bloom contrasts against that deep blue flower on the indigo bush.
In another spot, we visit an entirely different desert habitat. So what kind of structure or habitat are we in now?
This is a bahada with metamorphic rock, but it's coming right off the mountain, so this is very close to where water is present. This is a little river of mimulus.
Oh my gosh, it's monkey flowers, baby monkey flowers. Little tiny pink ones.
These are an annual monkey flower called Bigelow's monkey flower.
Oh, Clay, this is beautiful. There's so many of them, but I can see why, because this is obviously where all the water drains from the hills all to this spot. And what's the soil like here?
This is just basically decomposed granite. It's just rock. And yeah, this is the mountain where the rain shadow is, so there is water that would come down here. This is a wet spot, relatively speaking.
And look at all the diversity. We've got the dandelion, we've got those tiny little poppies and the regular desert poppies and the phacelia and the lupin, so it's pink and purple and blue and yellow. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I need a photo. You know, sometimes you come to the desert and there's nothing here. And then days like this, you come and it's just full. How does that happen?
Well, you know, many years of drought will go by where there's so little water that there's not enough for the shrubs even to grow together and form a closed canopy. There's space in between everything. And then you get a wet year, a year of abundance, and all that open space fills up with the annuals and ephemerals that only come when the resources are available.
So it's either scarcity or abundance.
That's right, it's the land of extremes.
This is one of the jewels of the desert, huh?
Yes, it is.
This is the desert lily. I can tell, well, obviously it's a lily, but also that telltale crenulated leaf, beautiful.
That waxy gray color, the crenulated leaf, all adaptations to drought. Though this plant is a bulb, like any lily, and it can be extraordinarily deep in the sand, 3, 4, 5 feet down.
Wow, so that must be a drought adaptation.
Yeah, it starts out from seed high, but as it grows, it buries itself down, 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 and waits for the rain to reach it before it sprouts.
And then it comes all the way up.
Comes all the way up. Sometimes they can be foot and a half high.
Beautiful. Wow, the ocotillos are beautiful. Look how big this one is.
Oh, it's magnificent.
You know, to me, the ocotillo is iconic of this desert.
Yeah, the iconic plant of the low Colorado desert.
And look at the adaptations. The spines, those are lost leaves. And then these little tiny leaves that only appear now when there's been plenty of rainfall.
Right, and then when it dries up, they just all drop off.
You know, I see a lot of buds, so there's lots blooming down here, but this isn't blooming yet. How long do you think until it blooms?
Another week or two, and it'll be fully in bloom and covered in hummingbirds.
Spring is fleeting, and soon the shrubs, cacti, and ocotillo will be the focal point. But for now, the annuals are showing off the desert's softer side, and how in the face of scarcity, there's abundance. Some of the most fascinating California wildflower blooms happen in chaparral and coastal sage scrub habitats following devastating fires. Not long ago, the Woolsey fire charred nearly 100,000 acres in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. The evidence of fire is still here, but with spring, the charred landscape is overlaid with a fringe of green and vast swaths of blooming wildflowers. These are the fire followers. They're the colonizers, the first plants that return after fire. These mostly ephemeral annuals germinate in huge numbers, and when they appear, the scientists are right behind.
And I've got the clipboard in my bag.
Okay.
And I also have the inReach here and our GPS.
Mark Mendelson is a biologist for the National Park Service, which manages the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. Mark and his team are documenting the burned habitats to see how plants and animals recover. This reserve includes Paramount Ranch, a movie set where many famous Western movies and TV shows have been shot. Most of the Old West buildings were destroyed, and an iconic oak tree was badly scorched.
This is what we call our witness tree because it's been here for, probably at least a couple hundred years.
It looks like a giant old oak.
Yeah, it is. It's a valley oak, so Quercus lobata. It looks like it's dead.
Yeah, it looks like just charcoal, but except on this side.
There are a lot more leaves here. They're scorched, so the fire definitely affected it, but it's compared to the opposite side where you don't see barely any leaves, the fire burned more intensely on that side. So if we look even more carefully among these scorched leaves, can you see?
Yeah, I see the sprouts.
Yeah, you can see those are resprouting branches.
So it looks dead, but it's clearly alive.
Right, there's some live tissue in there, and we hope that, that it'll be able to photosynthesize enough to, allow the survival of the entire tree. I don't think we know yet, but we're hoping that it'll hang on.
How much of this area burned, Mark?
So 88% of the National Park Service land burned, so it was about 96,000 acres.
Do you think you're seeing more blooms after the fire, or about the same?
I think we're seeing more because some plants only bloom following the fire, and then some bloom in greater numbers.
It's kind of eerie to see all of these black skeletons, but they're so pretty against all the green and the purple and the orange.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that one of my favorite sights is the sprouting of the green out of the black ash shortly after the fire. You start to see that.
The hope of new life.
That's right.
Between 100 and 200 species of these wildflowers are fire followers, whose seeds sprout only in the first spring after a fire.
Oh, hey guys, check this out. It's the calocortis.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Albus.
That's so exciting.
The white globe lily.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, I've been searching for this one for a while now.
So this is a fire follower or not?
So this is encouraged by fire, I would say. Numbers probably increase a little bit following fire, but we do see this without fire as well.
Look how beautiful it is.
It's an exciting find for sure.
Super exciting.
In addition to the short-lived annuals, the chaparral shrubs, trees, and perennials all have ways of recovering from fire. Mark, there's all this beautiful sprouting. Is this typical?
Well, we're seeing a lot more resprouting this year following the Woolsey fire because we had so much rain. So it's really interesting to compare it to the 2013 Springs fire when we didn't see as much resprouting because there was the historic drought.
Chaparral and coastal sage scrub fires are naturally ignited by lightning every 50 to 200 years. Those fires burn away old, dead vegetation, and that helps maintain biodiversity. Too frequent fires leave bare spaces, where non-natives invade and outcompete the natives. These fires put the valuable and precious native plants at risk of disappearing. And when the plants disappear, the habitats do too.
You're right.
Yeah, so fire.
Yeah, which is still amazing. We love this little guy. But it is a fire poppy, and it's most definitely a fire follower. We'd probably find hundreds if we walked up this hillside. You can see them actually all going up.
I don't know that I've ever seen so many Phacelia. What are these Phacelia?
This is Perry's Phacelia. They are really deep purple Phacelia.
And do you
So
usually
gorgeous.
see this?
No, this is about as super bloomy as I've experienced in this post-fire season.
So these are fire followers, right?
Absolutely, these are fire followers.
They're beautiful.
Indeed. So right about here, Nan.
150.
Nan just spotted one Sia Kuhn seedling, and here's another one.
Mark and his team climb up a ridge to document the vegetation in plots they've been following since before the fire.
Is it straight?
It looks really good.
Fantastic. I'll tie it off here.
They record information about the plants they see, their sizes, how much ground they cover, how large the populations are, and so on.
Clapper, Marmac at 21.
This work expands our understanding of what's normal in these important habitats and how the plants and animals respond to fire. A full recovery of this landscape will take a decade or two, as long as there isn't another fire. For now, the fire followers are the stars of the show. Their brief bloom supports pollinators and other wildlife. They help condition the soil, and they provide cover for shrubs whose seeds have also sprouted. Life emerges from the ashes, a colorful indicator of nature's resilience. We think of wildflowers as growing in remote areas, far from cities and towns. But they also grow in the wild places right around our communities, in places I bet you've never noticed.
I see everything about to bloom.
Some of the showier blooms happen in the hills and the canyons that weave through our cities. I'm hiking through some of these spaces with naturalist Lee Gordon.
This is our first site, not far from the road. And it's, to me, it's a very interesting site.
Because?
Well, it's a lot like California used to be. So Nan, we're in the middle of a bunch of native California grasses, and they're different from the invasive grasses because they're forming these clumps.
Lee is a physical oceanographer and a businessman. He's spent years walking these hills and observing the plants that grow here.
What is this? Are these native violets?
They are.
Wow, how common are these?
They grow all over around here. They grow throughout a good part of California.
These are relatives, then, of the violets that you can buy in the nursery and put in your garden, right?
That's right.
Wow, and is that peaches?
Fresh peaches. Yeah, I can even smell them up here. They're so intense today.
Can you?
Yeah.
And look how many there are. They're just everywhere. They go all the way up the hillside.
You know, Nan, this place just amazes me. It's so close to my office, just 2 minutes from my office, smack in the middle of Poway, and yet it's just so beautiful.
This is a nice little opening. What are those?
What we have here, Nan, are a bunch of buttercups.
Oh, look how pretty they are. Are these actually ranunculus then?
Yeah, they're Ranunculus californicus, and they grow all over the place again.
In California, countless acres of native habitats have been lost to development, to drought, conversion to farmland, climate change, and to invasive plants.
Then I noticed this guy. This is an artichoke, an invasive. I have this conversation with people all the time. They tell me they want to plant a plant. It's on the invasive list. They may not know it, I'll tell them. And they don't understand why that's important. I mean, they don't realize that once it goes to seed, it spreads into areas like this, and then eventually it crowds out the natives.
Nan, you know, there are big areas around here where that's all you get is artichokes. And once the artichokes do that, nothing else grows.
Right, so you got no butterflies, no birds, no bees, because there's no habitat for them.
Exactly.
Chaparral and coastal sage scrub habitats once dominated Southern California. In today's urban and suburban areas, only patches remain.
So I am seeing some beautiful little tiny pink flowers. What are these?
Aren't they something? These are ground pinks, and we're standing in one of the best places around for these flowers. They're looking better now than I've ever seen them.
And we're going to stay here on the trail, right? We're not walking in there.
We don't want to trample these little beauties, do we?
These flowering annuals have evolved over the eons, each species adapting to a particular combination of soil type, moisture, temperature, light, predators, and pollinators. Their requirements are so specific that they can't live anywhere else. And once they're gone, there's no going back. That's why it's so important to protect the plants and the places where they grow.
These super blooms happen in really fragile ecosystems. So if you're going to go see the flowers, here's some things to keep in mind. Drive on designated roads. Stay on designated trails. If you happen to step off the trail, watch where you're stepping so you don't step on a plant. These might be beautiful, but they don't make good cut flowers and they don't make good garden plants. And you may want only one or two, but so does the next person. And eventually, if everyone takes some home, there's nothing left. So, like any wild area, leave only footprints, but not on the plants, and take only memories. Super blooms are rare, and they're amazing, and we all want to go out and see them. But it's equally important that we treat the plants carefully and preserve these habitats so they're around for generations to come. I'm Nan Sterman. Thanks for watching.